Yes, please. Very good evening to all of you. This is Arun over here, and today we'll learn about HSRP, which is a very important topic in CCIE RMS, which is relevant to switching and to routing also. I'll explain you HSRP in terms of router now, and we'll do another lab in for switches also. So, what is HSRP? First of all, HSRP is the acronym for Hot Standby Routing Protocol. It is a Cisco proprietary routing protocol, and it is basically used for gateway redundancy. Now, the next question that should pop in your mind is, what is gateway redundancy? Before explaining gateway redundancy, I have specifically created three scenes for you, and with the help of these three scenes, I'll explain what is gateway redundancy and why HSRP is required. So, the two people over here are me and my girlfriend, and we decide to start a new company, a small startup. So I have two machines, one switch, and a router, and via this router I'm connected to my internet, as all companies have to connect to internet. Okay, so the default gateway over here is 10.0.0.1. My machine IP address is 10.0.0.2, and my girlfriend's machine's IP address is 10.0.0.3. Very good, everything is going fine, not at all an issue. Okay, now after this, after a few months, 4 5 months, my company stature has grown, my company income has grown, my company profit has grown, my company market also has grown. So my girlfriend now tells me that, here Arun, our whole business is based on internet. What if my this ISP is not working? Okay, so if my this ISP is not working, but obviously my business, which is totally dependent on internet, it will also stop. If my business is stopping, then it will be a huge loss for me. Okay, so what we do? So I tell her that, okay, we'll take another connection from an ISP. So we'll have a redundant connection. A redundant connection or a redundant link means that if my uplink, there are two types of link. Now the first one is the uplink and the second one is redundant link. Uplink is the link which I am currently using now. Redundant link is that link if my uplink is not working for some or other reason, my redundant link will take over. Okay, so I tell my girlfriend that, okay, we'll do another thing now. We'll take another from an ISP. So this I have taken from Reliance and this I have taken from Tata. Very simple thing. Okay, so I am in scene 2 now. I have two links, one from Reliance, one from Tata. The switch is same, and over here me and my girlfriend. Not at all an issue. But now the problem is that R2 router has a gateway of 10.0.0.1 and R3 has a gateway of 10.0.0.2. So now I have two IP addresses as default gateway, but you might know this, that while entering default gateway there is only option of entering one. Okay, so in this computer or in my girlfriend's computer, now the question is that which IP address or which default gateway should we enter, this one or this one. If I use this one, then this one is of no use, it will become waste. Okay, but I need redundancy also. Why? Because my business is growing and I cannot be totally dependent on one link now, so I have to be dependent on two links. That is, if at all one fails for redundant purposes, I have another link. So here comes a protocol of Cisco which is called as HSRP and which is used for gateway redundancy. I hope that scene 1 and scene 2 is understood to you. Now, the question which was in front of us, that what should I use as a default gateway? So what HSRP, Hot Standby Routing Protocol, does is that it creates a virtual MAC address and a virtual IP address. Okay, so instead of these two routers, I will only have one router with virtual MAC address this and IP address. This IP address you can give anything. So what I'm trying to say is that these two routers will have, I will have a virtual physical routers. Instead of having these physical routers, I will have a virtual router over here having this MAC address and this IP address. So now I'll give my default IP as this. Okay. So how does hot standby routing protocol does? Means physically I have these two IP addresses, but virtually, just for me and my girlfriend to see, they'll create a virtual router, and in that virtual router they'll give a virtual MAC address. This is 4 times 0, 0C07, AC0A, and then IP address 10.0.0.254. Okay. So I give that and my connection is fine. Okay. Now the problem is that inside a single HSRP group, I have two routers. Okay. So in these two routers, the next question is that via which router should I send the link, or which router should be an active router. An active router is a router through which I am sending a link currently, and which should be a standby router. A standby router is a router which waits for the active router to fail, and if the active router fails, it becomes the new active router. Okay. So this I'll clearly show you with an example also, everything. I hope the main purpose behind HSRP, Hot Standard Routing Protocol, is understood to you. And now just try to understand that. So I told you that virtual MAC is this, IP address virtual is this, R2 should become the active router, or because out of the two only one will become active, the other one will become standby. Okay, that is based on the priority. So if the default priority on both the routers is 100, if at all I give a priority to R2 as 200 and a priority of R3 as 100, the router which has the highest priority becomes the active router, and the other router becomes the standby router. Then if at all, if my link fails over here, my active router, then my standby router takes over my active router, and the IP address and the virtual MAC address is the same. So first this was my active router and I was sending data through here. Then R2 gets disconnected due to some reason. My standby router, that is R3, takes over and it becomes a new active router. But still my virtual MAC and virtual IP address is the same. So very simply, HSRP is a protocol, is a Cisco proprietary protocol which is used for gateway redundancy. Gateway redundancy means if I have two routers, and in the two routers I am taking connections via two internet service providers. So they will give me two IP addresses, but in my default gateway I can only enter one IP address. Here the two routers will be then subsumed into one router, one virtual router having this virtual MAC address. The virtual MAC address which I have shown over here, this one is for HSRP version 1. For HSRP version 2, it is a different version. It is a different virtual MAC address. You just check it in the net. Rest all is same. So I hope now. So now via HSRP, the virtual router is created. I am giving this as my default gateway. This becomes my active router. Why? Because the priority over here is 200. This becomes my standby. Why? Because the priority over here is 100. Okay. If at all anything happens to my active router, my standby router takes over. Okay. Now there is something which is called as a hello time and dead time. Hello time is 3 seconds and dead time is 10 seconds. That is the active router will send hello messages to the standby router to make sure that it is alive. If the active router does not send, or if the standby router does not get hello messages for 10 seconds, it is termed to be as dead. That is, there is some problem in the connection and this will take over as the standby. So I hope that it is understood. This becomes my active router and this becomes my standby router. Standby router. Why? Because the priority over here is greater, here the priority is less. Virtual MAC address and IP address is this. And now I have redundancy, and this is the reason HSRP is used. Now we go into scene 3, and this is the topology that we are going to use. So I just explain you the topology also. So this is me over here. This is my machine. This is not a router, and I convert this into a machine. Okay, and switch and two routers. Two routers. So that is two service provider. The first one is the Reliance one. The second one is the Tata one. Over here is my cloud or my internet, and behind my internet is my girlfriend. My aim is that I have to communicate over here, and I have to just show you, not communicate also, I have to just show you that R4, how it becomes an active router and how R6 becomes a standby router. How to enter the priority and all that I'll show you. So I hope that the basic idea or the basic theoretical part of HSRP is understood. Now we'll just delete scene 1 and scene 2. and and we'll just focus on this topology now. This is the topology on which I am going to do. I hope this is understood. This is me, my machine, having an IP address 10.0.0.1. R5 and R6 are my two routers inside my HSRP group, having an IP address 10.0.0.2, 10.0.0.3. So they are inside a single subnet. From R5 to R7 I have 20 network, and from R6 to R7 I have 30 network. Above R7 I have a loopback network 2/24, which is my web frame. Okay, and the IP address, the virtual IP address that I am going to give, or the gateway that I am going to give is 10.0.0.254. This is the virtual IP 10.0.0.254. First let's get into now. I'll just now start with the configuration. I'll just switch on the routers and we'll do the configurations. I hope the topology is understood. You have also understood that what is HSRP, why HSRP is required. It is a gateway redundancy protocol, a Cisco proprietary protocol. It creates a HSRP group. Inside that group, I have an active router and the standby router. The active router is the router through which I am sending my data. The standby router is the router who is waiting for my active router to fail. If my active router fails, my standby router takes over. The hello time is 3 seconds, the dead time is 10 seconds. How one router becomes an active and the second one becomes a standby based on the priority. So we'll do the configuration. I'll just do the configuration first on my machine, my router, that is R4. The IP address is 10.0.0.1, over here 10.0.0.2, over here 10.0.0.3. The virtual IP address is 10.0.0.254. Okay, my R4 router is up now. So the first command I'll put over here is no IP routing. As soon as I put this, it will not work as a router anymore. It will just work as a normal machine or a normal computer. Okay, this is the command. So you can use an host also over here. I'm just showing you because I have taken a router. The second command is I'm taking is IP default gateway. Default gateway means I'm giving a default gateway to my machine. And default gateway is 10 dot my virtual IP address 10.0.0.254. Okay, not at all an issue. This is the first two commands that I have to enter. Then I'll go into the interface, which is the interface. The interface is fast ethernet 0/0, and I'll put the IP address IP ADDR 10.0.0.1, 255.255.255 0. No shut. So my first thing, my configuration on R4 has been done. Okay. Then I have to come to R5 and R6, and I have to do the configuration on R7 also. I'll tell you the HSRP configuration just before that we do the configuration of R5 and R7 and 6. So getting into the console of R5 router, fast Ethernet 0/1 is 10.0.0.2. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1 is IP is 10.0.0.2, 255.255.255.0. No shit. Then fast Ethernet 0/1. This is 20.0.0.2. I hope this is understood. Yeah? This is not simple. Not IP ADDR is 20.0.0.2 No. Then I am just running EIGRP protocol on this. Now this is I'm not telling describing anything about EIGRP protocol. For simplicity purposes, I am just running EIGRP because the purpose of this tutorial is HSRP. So let's focus on HSRP. Network 0.0.0.0. Very simple. Okay. Then I go into my R7 and do the configuration. Into now R7 console and let's do the configuration. 0/0 is 20.0.0.3, 0/1 is 30. And fast Ethernet 0/1 is 30.0.0.3. This chain sometimes works very slowly, but when you do it on the routers or on the switches, it is smooth. So IP address of fast Ethernet 0/1 is then there is one loopback also for my girlfriend, so that is loopback 1. IP ADDR is 2.2.2.2, 2.2.2.2.0. No shut. And very simply I am just running EIGRP on this because for simplicity purposes EIGRP I am using the command router EIGRP, the autonomous system number and network 000. You can see that straight away EIGRP adjacency will be found. So that is not at all an issue. The router is so slow to do it. Let's get into the console of R6 now. Get into the console of R6. R6 also fast Ethernet 0. You can see that the neighbor adjacency is on. So on thread, now not at all an issue. Config key. Fast Ethernet 0/1 is 30.0.0.4 and 10.0.0.3. Okay. Fast Ethernet 0/0/1 is IPADDR 30.0.0.4 255.255.255.0 not shut. Fast Ethernet 0/1 0/0 is 10.0.0.3. I hope yeah this is understood and there is no confusion. Okay, so the configuration part is done. Now just router EIGRP 10 connect to 0. And now we will do our HSRP path configuration, which is very simple. I'll just show you that now. Again, so there is EIGRP neighbor ship is also formed, so not at all an issue. And now I'll explain, or now I'll try to tell you what HSRP is doing. So now there's nothing, we have just configured the interfaces, and to maintain connectivity between these routers, I have just EIGRP, I have just enabled EIGRP routing protocol on the R5 and R6. Now you can just clearly understand over here. Now these are two routers and this is my data and this is my Reliance. This is my computer, so I have now two ISPs and I should just enter this one virtual IP address. Okay, so let's get into now R5. And the first command inside R5 you will put first is you will get into this interface fast Ethernet 0/1. So R5 interface fast Ethernet 0/1 standby is the command. Okay, then it will ask you group number. Always you have to give a group number in HSRP. So the group number I give over here is 20. Okay. Then if I do the question mark, it will ask, give me the IP address or the default gateway IP address. So default gateway IP address is 10.0.0.254. Why is this so slow today? This is the command to enter my default gateway. So now you can make sure that in my R5 inside my HSRP I am telling that the HSRP group is 20 and for this router I need a virtual IP that is 10.0.0.254. Now to make this router as my active router, I told you I have to give the priority. So same group and priority I am giving over here now very simply 200 and standby. You can just see now that inside the group HSRP this becomes active. So this is my active router now. Standby 20 preempt. There is preemption also in this. Okay, so this much configuration I have to do in R5. The same configuration now I have to do in R6 also. Because these two are my routers. So R6 fast Ethernet 0/1, R6 fast Ethernet 0/0, interface fast Ethernet 0/0. Standby my group is 20, my IP is 10.0.0.254. Then standby 20, priority I'll give 100 and standby 20 preemption. Okay, Now just you can from this whatever configuration I have done, you can make sure that I have given R5 router a priority of 200 and R6 a priority of 100. Higher the priority, this becomes the active router. Lower priority, this becomes the standby router. So we'll just now check whatever configuration I have done is true or not. So we go into R5 and the command is show standby. You can see now. Standby, you are inside group 20. Your state is now active. The virtual IP address is 10.0.0.254. The virtual MAC address is 0000007. AC is 14. Okay, this is the group number, but group number is 20 over here, and I have only 0 to 15 decimal, so that is 14. Hello time is 3 seconds, hold time is 10 seconds, preemption enabled, and it is also mentioning that the standby router IP address is 10.0.0.3. The priority for standby is 100. The same thing I can now check in. Again, it is inside group 20. The state of this router is standby. Virtual IP address is this. Virtual MAC address is this. Hello time 3 and hold time is 10. Preemption enabled active router is this one. Now, what I do is now, just for fun purposes, I will go into the interface of my active. That is, this is my active router. Now, all my data is being sent from here. But what is that for God forbidden there is a disaster and my R5 router is cut now. How R6 becomes an active router, we'll see that now. So interface fast ethernet 0/1, I will do a no shut. Shut. Interface fast ethernet 0/1, I will do a shut. And you can see now whatever drama is happening. You can see that HSRP state active from active it is going to init. Okay, all the EIGRP that I run that is also going down, but now here you can see that this router, the state has changed from standby to active. So now this router becomes my active router. If I put show standby, you can see that earlier it was standby router, now it is an active router. Rest all is same. This is for you very simply in my own language. HSRP used for gateway redundancy. It is a Cisco proprietary protocol. Routers are in the state active and standby very important. Virtual MAC address and virtual IP address. If at all if you have any doubt in this video, then please this is my email ID csemannet2015@gmail.com. This is Arun signing off. Have a good day. Living with the same motto, spreading knowledge is equivalent to spreading happiness. Thank you.